that one's a lot of fun to do. It's teleport only Rec Royale. We do a draft, and it's a squads-based teleport league. And then I also run Jumbotron and Crimson League as well, which are a little bit different because they're quests, so we had to kind of get creative with the way that we set those up. But we'll talk about that more later.
All right, Pixel the Builder.
I, with our Rec Room Championship, I do most of the building, some of the scheduling stuff, and been playing the game since 2017. Play on screen mode. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pixel is he's dangerous on screen mode, but his building's more dangerous than I'd say his skill in PvP. I'm sure as a lot of people know me, well, from the paintball side of things, I'll start off with my usual mic check 1 2. Welcome back, ladies and lads. This is Sci-fi here, and as you guys may know me, I am typically the official or the streamer. I have streamed for the first one being RRC Season 1. I have not streamed this season, but I have streamed for Paintball League as well too. I've been playing Rec Room since 2018, and man, it has been a trip when it comes to just the paintball side. Can't really get enough of paintball. Now that all the introductions are out of the way, let me get this screen down. Hope everybody has all their pencils and papers and notebooks because it is time to League 101. As you guys can, let me double check. Can I get a hands up in the air if you guys can actually see the screen?
Yeah!
Okay, alright, awesome. It's working. Nice. Sounds like CRISPR. Oh my gosh. Alright guys, so today, as you guys can see, we are going to cover as much as we possibly can when it comes to just establishing leagues, from blueprints to rules, organization, officials and refs, UGCs, moderation, stability, and of course, if we have enough time, a Q&A at the very end. Now we're going to start off with the very first one. Of course, even if you don't have a league running, or if you do have a league running, you want to take some notes, I can already see, look at that, I already see somebody right down here ready with their paper out. Oh man, they're all set. All right, Pixel, if you don't mind scrolling right on over. So the first thing that's going to be on here, first things first, are the blueprints. These are some things to actually put into consideration. When you want to have a sort of a league, a lot of things go into perspective. Besides the responsibility, of course, you want your league to be fun, all going, and yeah, everybody wants to have fun. You want to build a community, you want to make something out of it. But of course, with the league, there's a few things to put it to, think about. Step one, what is the league about? Of course, you have your typical PvP, or your sports leagues, or UGC, or in this case, I know Quest also qualified too. There's not a lot of Quest leagues out there, but they still are fun. That's all the whole purpose of leagues are. They're just supposed to be just out of pure fun, and make something out of it. So, if you guys ever just think about what the league's about, because this pretty much is the starting point. You want to know as to where it's going to go and where you're going to go from there. Just some things to think about. Now, step number 2. How do you think your league will impact the community? If you are a little bit confused about this was definitely something I seen as should, put on here because, oh, thank you. This is something you should potentially think about because from an outside perspective, there are definitely those who gain interest in your league. I am definitely going to put it out there. One of the leagues I found interesting was APBL. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you're there, then you're there. It's because of just the aspect of it. As a paintball player, you think, oh, Advanced Paintball League. It's custom maps. It's still paintball. It sounds interesting. And of course, it's going to impact the community because you never know who you're going to bring in or just if it's going to be positive or even beneficial. It might change a lot of things when, it goes into perspective. So, yeah, just something to really think about because you don't want it to be a bad thing or a negative thing. You don't want it to have, a bad taste, going forward. Pixie or Pixel, you guys anything else you wanted to add to it?
I think going along with choosing like the type of league you're gonna run. If you're trying to start a league, make sure you're starting something that you're passionate about because it is a lot of work, and once you start running a season, if it's not something you are also interested in playing, it's not going to be fun for you and you're going to burn out really fast. So I've seen a lot of people think, oh, I want to run a league. Let me think of something that nobody else has done before. And they come up with some idea, but it's not actually something that they were interested in. They just thought they were filling a void that other players might want to play. And then they realize that they don't enjoy that type of league or that kind of game and they don't want to run it anymore. So that's really important to consider.
Oh yeah, might be cringe, but channel your inner Undertale. You gotta be filled with determination when it comes to running a league. You really do. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
A
totally.
lot.
Yeah,
So, number 3. This adds on to the determination and just dedication. What are your goals for the league? Of course, everybody sees it as, oh, I just want to get through a season and, be done with it. No. You gotta think, after your first season, there is a lot to put into consideration. Where are you going to go on from there? How are you going to really juggle between everything or all the experiences that you've had to deal with from the recent, session or season that you've had? Where do you want your league to go? And this isn't your typical, I want my league to be the very best. Everybody wants their league to be the good, not the best, but they want it to be good. Of course, that much is, stated. But yeah, you have to really think about what are your goals that you wish to really accomplish for the league. Where do you want this to be? Where do you want it to go? And I can already see what's going on, bot. I can already see just from panels that I've seen earlier today, I've already seen those who have certain goals or want to really get things done. So yeah, just some things you really have to put into consideration. Everybody has their goals, and there's no better feeling than actually achieving something that you've been trying to, whether it's short term or long term. Now then, this is the golden question. In my opinion, what makes your league stand out? I would say this one goes out to even for those who are unsponsored. Because there are a lot of leagues out there that are kind of the same. You have, but of course you can have, one league that does something and then the second league do another thing. Oh, I accidentally opened up. Oh, thank you. You can have another league do something else, but, you have to really add that shine, that gold to the league. Because you don't want your league to be the same as somebody else. It's just, probably may not draw as much. Sure, you can have the same things, but a few adjustments really it does go a long way. It really does. You'd be amazed. Now then,
Yeah.
does anything you guys?
I don't got much to add.
I hear you.
Well, I was going to say for Rec Royale Teleport League, the big difference between ours and the only Rec Royale League that existed before that was Rec Royale Squads Edition, and ours was Teleport, which was a big difference, but as well as that, we also have a draft. So there's no other Rec Royale League other than Rec Royale Teleport League that has a draft. All of the other ones either have done random teams or self-forming teams, which in my opinion actually changes a lot about the way the season goes and just the differences between the teams. So I think it's really fun that we offer a draft so that people can choose to play with their friends and get to curate their teams, but also in a fair way where everybody has the option to get those really high-level players. And it's also been a really good way to just bring more people into Teleport and introduce them to that because I think we're seeing less and less people who are interested in playing Teleport. So we wanted to invite more people to that.
Also, to add on to that too, when it comes to drafting, and this is something that RRC has done when it comes, I suppose, to standing out. Besides having both laser tag and Rec Royale and paintball, because we're the very first hybrid league out there for Rec Room, but we are also, I don't know if there are any others, but we are also the very first PvP based league that has had self-forming teams, and so far it has been pretty great. So in self-forming teams, it does it's a lot to it. We didn't really think we were going to pull it off in some scenarios, but we managed to do so anyway. So that's one for us, at least compared to Season 2. Alright, Pixel. On to the next. Next up, we have our rules. You know, this one goes as straightforward as possible. You know, of course, the very first one is there. Make sure the code of conduct is being followed. You don't want for your league to cause any kind of danger or risk, if it ever, if it is sponsored, it goes out to those who are sponsored, or just, overall. Because you don't want to break any sort of code of conduct. It's there for a reason, and yeah. Trolling and memeing is fun, but it can only have so many limitations before it becomes a risk, and you do not want that risk. Trust me, it's not worth it at all. Now, here's another big one. Provide balance to the rules. This is tough. For any admins out there, or for those who are part of that board, providing balance is definitely something that is difficult along the way, because there's always different sorts of ways for things to be adjusted, or just new glitches or bugs that people are finding, and just having to just go through all of that, it does become a bit more tougher than it seems. So you always want to find some balance.
Thank you, bro.
Team balance talk. Yeah, not even team balance as well, but it's just more just rules overall. You want to make sure your rules are fair. You want to make sure everybody gets involved. And, of course, you cannot have it one-sided. You can't have the Quest players getting a higher advantage than the PC players. This also goes out for Quest 1, too. Don't worry, you guys are not. Well, I know you exist. I know you guys are still around. But, yes, this goes for both sides. You got to make sure everything is balanced. The more balanced it is, the more smoother the season goes. You don't want to be stressed out over, Season 1, Season 2. Last thing you want, the least stress, the better. Work smarter, not harder.
It is really hard to rules in general, because no matter what rule you make or how you tweak it to try to make people happy, there will always be a group of people who are happy with one decision and a group of people who are going to complain and who are going to be unhappy. So just trying to have a diverse group of people making those decisions, talking about it before you announce it to everybody, and making sure that you're trying to make it the most fair for the most people.
For sure. It is. Also going on with that, number 3, avoid loopholes. Now, I'm not gonna point out anybody, but for those who know, yes, you do know. Now, of course, from my understanding, this does not or has not happened a lot. But yes, there are players out there who actually look really far in depth and say, let me try to bend this rule because there's nothing that's stopping me. So you want to try to avoid as many loopholes as you can, because that can actually tilt the balance of an advantage, and that can actually cause a lot of chaos. Remember, make sure the fine print is there. If you cannot necessarily think about a rule, if you really think that there's a rule out there that might, that makes you consider a what if, just talk to your team about it. Do not staple it down or say, yeah, it's fine. No one's gonna, abuse it or anything. I don't really want to use that word, but yeah, no one's going to tamper with that, I should say. Of course, there's always going to be ways for people to find loopholes around things. But of course, I want to say it was AR League. I'm going to give them commendations for this, because what they had done was any sort of loopholes that they'd have found. You guys can prove me if I'm wrong, but it was one of the leaks particularly. They said any loopholes that they may have found, they will adjust it, later along the way. If it is something that is way too big, that might cause some chaos later along within it. And honestly, I would say it's better to take care of the situation there than to take care of it later along towards the end of the season or even in playoffs, because you don't want to have to deal with any loopholes in playoffs. It is bad.
Yeah, you want to make sure you cover all your bases and think of every possible issue that might come up and have some sort of rule on that, just in case it does happen, instead of thinking it won't happen.
Oh yeah. And I
Even
can
just
say
playing
for
in other leagues helps with that too. Like, I know that we came up with a lot of our rules by playing in other leagues and learning from those leagues and knowing, okay, this happened in this league and I don't want that to happen to us, so we're going to make sure we have a rule in place for that purpose.
that also is what brings me to number 4. Communication is key. All right, sure. You got your team, you got your squad, you got your admins. Yes. Talk about it. Don't be afraid. Do not just suddenly assume that a rule is just good to go and then just toss it out there and say, yeah, we're good, guys. Or adding on to what Pixie said, it doesn't hurt to, even if you have to reach out to other leagues and say, oh, well, how does this rule work? How do you go about it with this, specific thing? It it never hurts because it only reinforces your league and makes it a lot more beneficial. It helps you along the way. It makes it easier. There's not really, I mean, there's not really, so you can call me whatever you want. There's not really any league out there that has any special or super amazing rules that stands out from all the others. Everybody's it's all from what I've seen, it's all recycled. Kind of like copy and pasting. So, yeah, if one rule works better in your league as opposed to another, go for it. Don't be afraid. No one's going to stop you, and it's your league at the end of the day. I'm not saying a little thank you would probably be nice too, because they're the ones who helped you out. So, remember to say your please and thank you, just as if you're going trick-or-treating. Now then, number 5. Pretty obvious. Keep it clean. If you are in the RRC Discord, and, me specifically, I really prefer to just keep it clean. If you are in Paintball League, you should know this already. They like to keep it clean. TP or Teleport League, Paintball, they like to keep it clean. And what I mean by that is just if trolling becomes a problem later on, that's fine. We always resort over to saying just take it to DMs. Because no one wants to sit there and watch some drama happen to the point where it becomes a situation, and you don't want to put your league at risk. You don't want to leave bad taste in anyone's mouths. You don't want to just say, oh yeah, because this person over here said this is a toxic community. You don't want that. And of course, everyone's going to have their own opinion about it, because someone can just say something about, oh, this person smells, and the next thing you know, they get in trouble for it. You don't want to be too bulwark about it, but you also want to say, listen, it's funny, but just kind of just simmered down a little bit. Because I have seen a few leagues out there where their community is just, it is a little out of hand. So, no, because I'm also part of that one. It's not you. It's not you for sure, Tyler. But I have been a part of it, and you gotta set demands. You don't want to put yourself in trouble. That's the whole moral. Be careful. Keep it clean. Now
Going off of that as well quickly, if managers are deleting posts in a server to keep their server clean, respect that and understand that this is an entire community that they have to uphold, and complaining about it or saying that they shouldn't be deleting specific posts is not something you should be doing. We've had a lot of issues with that at one point, and it's frustrating when people are trying to tell you you can't moderate your own server.
Yep, you're right. I didn't think about that. But yeah, you're
Well, if
absolutely
a
right.
manager is trying to moderate it, just make sure that you're respectful of that, because you are in their space and playing in their league. So just keep that in mind.
Keep it equal. Whoever bites first, I'm pretty sure there might be a case you might get bit back, and then you're gonna feel upset about it. So you don't want that. You want to try to evade that the best you can. Now then, so remember what I mentioned about loopholes? This actually adds on to it. Trading systems. This is it's tough. It is. Trading systems are pretty tough to handle. Whether you have a specific amount of currency, or just trying to keep the balance of if this player should, cost this much, or just from how much a player is to how valuable the player is. It's just, it's a lot. It really is. So I mean, me personally, I don't really have much to say in regards to it, but it's just with trading systems, I wouldn't really recommend this for your first season if you're not very fond of it, because it is pretty difficult to maintain, and you don't want you don't want to collapse later on. Just, take notes. If you feel a little confident in it, make sure you have people backing you up. You don't want for your first season to be a big, explosion of sadness because you had somebody who, well, kind of mastermind the trading system. It is not just you. It's definitely not just you.
Yeah, I definitely agree
actually,
with that.
Like, why did you even...
Trying to avoid it in
Pixel,
your
I would
first
say
season.
you probably
Yeah,
I'm sure you have
it can
something to
really
say
screw up a
about the trade
league.
system, because I haven't really. I'd say it's just even with our league too. It's been nuts with season
Oh,
2.
wait, I contributed.
For those of you who have been in RC season 2, then you definitely know. Now, this is a major one as well.
Thank you, Pixie.
Sorry, you were saying?
No, I just said yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
This is a major one. Expect trial and error. Of course, your season's not going to be perfect, all right? I'm going to say if you expect perfection right away, you might want to just put that on the shelf, because you're never going to have the perfect league. There's no such thing as the perfect league. Do not be afraid to take constructive criticism. And this does go out to the UGC category as well too, because again, I'm sure this is major. There is a lot of hard work that you guys have to put in because of all of this. So do just, be mindful. Don't be afraid to take someone's criticism. I mean, if they, of course they say, fix this because, this sucks, or, it's garbage. At least tell them to be, hopefully they're going to be reasonable and not just, outright just scold you. Tell them just get straight to the point. Sometimes, getting to the point does go a long way. And, the easier you can fix it, or the more you expect trial and error, the easier it is going to be for you going forward. For just a lot of seasons, really, because that's what we had to do. Season 2 for RRC, for example, there was actually a pretty decent amount of trial and error, from the trading systems being a little iffy, from just some rules that we had to actually imply, or even when we had to board up invisible walls in certain places, whether it be on laser tag and paintball, because there were players that had access to it and that did not, and it was mind-blowing. A lot of people say that some people did like season 2 of RSC. I can say that was probably our biggest science experiment, but also probably our worst science experiment, because we did experiment a lot. I can say it with all the 18 teams that we had that died down. Did any of you have anything to add on to that? Because I know trial and error is a pretty hefty one.
Yeah, for us, we've learned, like I said at the beginning of the thing, I run 3 leagues. We learn from each season, and we take things from each league into the next, even though they're all completely different. I also play in a lot of leagues, which I think is really helpful as a manager, just to see how other managers run their leagues. And I also take things from each league I've played in and learn from their mistakes and what they did well in order to incorporate it into our own seasons, just to make them better.
Not to interrupt, but I know that speaking of leagues, I know that RRC Season 3, RRC, the finals have just actually started 3 minutes ago, so it's between Tea Time and Expression 2.0. So before we continue on, I'm going to give a shout out to 2 people here. I know we have Dwangler right here, he's sitting down. And, if anybody is from the Paintball League server or Paintball League overall, or even Teleport, I see you back there, Gog. How you doing? It's good to see you.
What, Gog?
Uh-oh.
Better stop
I didn't mean to cause any trouble. Alright, Pixel. On to the next one, buddy.
Bro, I've been joined.
Now, number 3, organization. Hey, I'm pretty sure, you have all your... I'm pretty sure when it comes to homework, you want to have that homework organized to give to the teacher. Some people are probably like, no. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, when it comes to leagues, yes, it is very, very, very important. This goes by moderation, rule checking, schedules. Everything has to fall into place for everything to be executed properly. You do not want to try to have any, you don't want to really have any kind of sections or any like parts within the league that are just kind of limped or not as efficient. So, with that, first one, have a reliable team. You don't really want for, yeah, it really is. Because without a team, your league is going to be tougher, and you want a league that's going to make it a lot more easier for everybody to maintain. You can have a very close friend. You got to think about it. You have to put it in perspective. I don't know. I had trouble saying that. Can you, like, yeah? Can you is like, look, like this person right here. You see that person back there? Hey, what's going on? That's my friend. Okay, cool. I want to make a league. Are they? How much can they contribute? Or how responsible are they? Is it worth the time? Just, simple stuff. Because, yeah, you teams, they do matter. You are the managers. You are the ones you basically are the heart of the league. It is important. Very important. Now then, just to make it easier for everybody, because work smarter, not harder, assign specific roles. You got your moderation team. You got the person who makes the schedules. Make sure the officials/refs are intact. For example, for me, for Season 3 RRC, I didn't officiate. I officiated a few games in case of emergency. But for the most part, I handle just making sure that the officials are at their games, good to go, and they can make it and have substitutes. I gotta make sure it doesn't sound like a lot of work, but it really is. It does go a lot into play because if these games are not being, spectated by those, and rule breaking can be open. You don't want that in the league at all. And of course, no one's going to be there. So there are people who want to see. They want to see what's going on and all that sort of jazz. So yes. I know, for example, Pixel, he takes care of the schedules. Schedules are important because you can't really get anywhere. Reschedules as well, too. He was kind enough to take over for the schedules to make them look spick and span, so thank you, Pixel. But yeah, just assigning roles does go a long way. It doesn't hurt to have one or two roles, but just do not overwhelm yourself. You do not want to overwhelm yourself just in the league overall. It's not good. Work smarter, not harder. Now then, number 3, plan ahead. This one goes pretty far. You gotta really think about it. If something were to happen to the room, or if anything were to happen to the match, or just in case if Rec Room decides to bug, you have to consider as to what your next initiative is. If the matches can't be played this week due to maintenance or something else, or just some major situation in the system that makes it a little bit unplayable. I know we had to deal with this a lot in Season 1 and a little bit of Season 2. You have to consider, you have to take action. Just think about what is going to, you have to prepare yourself. Well, yeah, just prepare for the worst. Because if there needs to be a delay, that takes the season a little bit for, that's a few steps back. You don't want that. You want to make sure, if you have a plan B in case something may happen, then go for it. And yes, this is a major one to the sports or even UGC leagues as well, too, because I'm sure you guys have to deal with that quite a lot when it comes to things that are not functional. So, always plan ahead. It does not hurt at all. Now then, with planning ahead, there's a backup plan. If, again, this adds on to... How's it going, bud? I can't see names, but... now, this does add on to it. If you cannot... If, let's say, for example, if... It's as basically if... I'm losing words. If the match could not be played due to, game functions, you have to initiate that plan B. Can this match still be played? Can it be played on something else specifically? How can we actually adjust this so that it's efficient and doesn't cause too many, hurdles or any kind of, stopping walls overall? You want to make sure that that plan B goes a long way, because having a plan B does help out. It helps keep the league going at a smooth pace.
This is something going on a lot right now as well. For anybody who's playing in Paintball League, you would know that team battle is actually broken currently, so we've not been able to play team battle games, and they came up with a really good solution, which is just play all of the CTF games that were going to happen later in the season now, and hopefully that issue gets resolved, and if not, they'll come up with another backup plan.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they went that far. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Combinations to PBL. Jeez.
Just
I didn't know
knowing
that.
how to come up with solutions and issues like that.
That's good though. That's actually pretty solid. I didn't know that. But yeah, that's actually a really great example. If you ever have a scenario like that. That's actually a pretty big example, and that's a really good step. I didn't think they would do that. But I mean, paintball leagues also, they're high up there. They're when it comes to just any kind of management. So, shout out to paintball league and all the paintball league players. I see you, AP. So, as I mentioned before, communication is key. Regardless of, no matter what, this is gonna go on and on and on. This actually is really important. You gotta talk to the community. If there's something happening, there's a problem somewhere, let them know. Don't wait until the last minute until some readjustments, because that just leads to unhappiness, and then that causes problems. The sooner you recognize and identify the problem, the easier it will be. As soon as there's something that has to go on, or if there's something that may tamper with how the matches are played out, inform them. If there needs to be a little bit of delay and reschedule, or if there's just something that's wrong with the maps, and you have to let everybody know as soon as possible, because you never may know, or may never know, as to what could possibly happen. If you've been on Rec Room long enough, you can realize that anything is possible with any sort of bugs. Especially my favorite one, if I'm going to be honest, is the Giga Chat skin. Everybody, the Giga Chat chin, basically. Everybody has a nice bulky face whenever you join in paintball sometimes. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's the team battle bug.
Yeah, it's great. I think, as funny as it is, unfortunately though, it becomes unplayable, but it is super great. That's my favorite one so far. Now then, just so you understand though, communication is king. Now of course, with every league, there comes a Discord server. How else are you guys gonna communicate? You can't communicate through, Facebook, Twitter all the time, not even Skype. Who does anybody even use Skype anymore? Anybody?
No.
Oh wow. There's actually people who still use Skype. Okay, well then,
He's lying.
sorry. Yeah, you probably are. I know, but what Skype exactly? At this point, Discord's taken over everything, but that only adds on to the purpose. You got to make sure your Discord server's up and running, and this also adds on to organization. You don't want to have some scattered up, you don't want to have things scattered around. The more organized your Discord server is, the better it is for everybody. I'm talking about where your schedules are, where your roster changes if you have that, the announcements, the game changes, or even just, scoreboards. There's so much that actually has to go into the Discord server, because again, that's basically your wall. That's basically your whole chalkboard. Jeez, that's your chalkboard right there. You gotta write down everything basically there. That's where your community grows. So yeah, I would say see it as kind of like a second home for your league.
Think of it as
All
a
right.
website too. Just making sure it's like the #1 place people are gonna come and learn about your league. So you want to make sure it's professional and easy to navigate.
That's a good example. Thank you for that. All right, Pixel, on to the next one. Now then, this is a major one because this is basically me. Officials and refs. So, I actually want to know who here has... I want to see hands of all the refs and officials. Have you ever officiated before? Okay, I was kind of hoping, I was wondering if someone would actually not put their hand up, but I was going to have to single them out, but you guys are good. So, I'm sure as you guys know, reffing and officiating, it can be pretty fun. It's pretty simple. You know, the first one you got to do is, of course, be on time. No one likes a late official, and I had to somewhat deal with that throughout season 3 of RSC. Whether they were late or late notice, it's just it makes it easier, and you don't want to cause any problems. So the sooner you're there, even if you're just 5 minutes there, 5 minutes early, just make it easier on everybody else. There's no reason for, or if you can't make it, if you truly cannot make it, just inform them at least a little earlier. As I said, communication is key. It is very important. It is super important because, again, you are the person who you're basically choosing what team wins or not. Well, not really, but you basically are the person who kind of abides to the rules. You got to make sure they are all following the rules. You're basically kind of like the police, but not really. So, secondly, know the rules. Rules are very, very important. I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you're a ref or an official, you do have to know the rules a little bit more, much better than everybody else. Of course, because if these rules are broken and you're not sure about it, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to the managers and ask them. It doesn't hurt to ask any questions, and even throughout season 3, I have had a few officials come to me and just say, "Oh, well, how does this work?" Or, "Oh, I didn't know they had to reset because of this." Yeah, there's a lot that goes on. You guys have to realize that these are just standard rules that we just want you to follow because these are pretty major and they're important. If these rules are not followed, you're not only putting the league at risk, you're putting the match at risk, and that only cause anger and frustration. So, knowing the rules is very important as to being just an official, because that's as simple as the expectation as we want from you. So, on to the third one, stream check. If you're a ref, I know there's a difference between refs and officials, but yes, stream check. Gotta make sure, dust off that stream, make sure everything is up and running and good to go. You got to make sure, you don't have any lag issues, your connection's fine, you don't have any sort of updates that you have to take care of. Typically I use OBS, but I mean, most of the time my stuff's all set and ready to go. And, if I want to make any adjustments, I always just take care of that too. So, I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty basic stuff. Make sure everything is just intact, make sure you're not lagging, the easier the better. And if you are, let somebody know. Make it easier on everybody else. So, fourth one, have good judgment. This does go pretty far because there are times where you might see somebody doing a bug or a glitch or it's just breaking a rule, but it doesn't seem like they're actually breaking the rule. There are definitely some times of what if or maybes. So, if need be, if you really, you got to determine as to how it's going to execute. If it feels like they are rule breaking, or if you feel as if something needs to be readjusted, or there has to be some action being taken. This one does definitely go out to, I guess, the toxic players. If you feel like there's an argument going on, or if they're not in a friendly manner, take care of it. Just take care of the problem. If they continue on, got to use your judgment. If you feel as if they should continue on with, if you feel like this needs to be reported, just let them know. Because a good portion of the time, you're going to have somebody say, "Oh, this player was toxic during the match," and the official did nothing about it. The last thing you want to ever hear is that the official did nothing about it, because then that's on you. You don't be the person that has to take the blame game. You're just there to watch the match and just let everybody know the score. You don't want to make it hard on yourself at all. So, yes, do keep that in mind, especially for playoffs, because it happens so much in playoffs.
Yeah, I would say if you're signing up to be a ref for a league, it should be you should want to be the most knowledgeable person in the server about the rules. If you're a ref, you're an official, you want to show off that you have a dedication towards the league and you know a lot about it, because it is ultimately you have a big role to make sure that the games go smoothly. And like he was saying, at the end of the game, if there was an issue, they're going to point towards the ref who was there to ask them questions. So you want to look good and be professional.
And of course, it's all in good fun too. We're not asking you guys to read an entire, encyclopedia. We just want you to just make sure everything's intact and you're good to go when it comes to reading the rules. So, of course, fifth one, mic checks. Mic check, 1, 2. as you guys already know. Make sure the mics are all up and running, and of course that goes for you as well. Make sure everyone's clear, they're crystal, good to go. And this also does evade having to deal with situations such as those who are on alternate accounts or kind of just on their friend's account and just playing in the match. So this this is pretty important. It is a shame that we have had to, come to this point where we have to mic checks are a thing, but cheaters never win, or at least from what my understanding. So, the more secure, the better. And that includes you too. Make sure your mic is on because you don't want to have somebody talking to you and then next thing you know they can't hear you. So pretty simple rule to follow. Now, this is the last one. This is also my favorite one. Be creative. I will give my commendations to Zizwar. If you guys do not know Zizwar from Paintball League, Laser Tag League, Teleport League, you're probably a little out of date, but to be fair though, he's actually probably one of my favorite officials. Because his streams are actually super nice. They're well decorated. He has his music, he has his BRB screen, and again, it never hurts to just ask for like, hey, can I use this logo to put on the stream? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Having a creative stream, it does draw in a lot more than you might anticipate. And it also helps you out along the way, not just for officiating on Rec Room, it also helps you out just being, a streamer. So if you want to get into streaming, let this be a good start because, creativity does go a long way. All right, now, on to the next one. Oh boy. So, UGC in sports. I just want to point out, you guys have my condolences. You do. I've seen the work that needs to be done from just... If you don't know what UGC means, by the way, it's user-generated content. So any leagues that are UGC, such as APBL. Person clearing to throw it down there? Yep, I see it, Tyler. So, or even from RRFA, or a lot of sports leagues overall. So, yeah. Yep, thank you. R3L. I actually noticed that they were putting in like custom maps too, but yeah, there's
They've
just so
always
much
used
that has to be.
custom maps actually.
Have they? Okay,
RTL
thank you for
has always
that.
used a custom map.
That's good though, but that only adds on to it. You gotta be super careful because the major, from my understanding and just from what I've seen, major rule, and this is actually I wouldn't say it's as important as the rules themselves for the league, but it definitely does. It's up there. It is up there because first one, have good map stability. This goes from both sides. You want to make sure the map is ready to go. It's stable. You don't want to make sure Quest players are lagging or PC players are lagging. They can see some things that, the map's invisible to somebody else, or, oh, this sort of, this specific thing can go through or fall through the ground. Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot to deal with. That's why I say you guys, just for those players overall, you guys have my commendations because that's a tough thing to kind of build up. And, even with just like the creative mind too, the passion that you guys put into your maps as well, just to make sure everybody's having a good time. Yeah, that it all goes there. So you definitely need some high passion when it comes to just making any kind of UGC map, in my opinion. I would add, Pixel, wait, since you are a builder, do you have anything you gotta say about, UGC? Even you, Pixel.
Not much, just make sure the map works, I guess. Think about it.
Okay, the simple stuff, I gotcha. Alright.
For the second one too, being open to suggestions. If you are a UGC especially, because you guys are totally creating your maps and it's not so much up to Rec Room to create the content that you guys are playing. If the players are giving feedback or constructive criticism, just be open to listening to them and hearing them out, because at the end of the day, you guys wouldn't have a league if the players weren't willing to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to, even if you have a stubborn mind, just you got to put it aside. You got to realize that this is feedback to make your map better. And it's not as simple as, the RRO where they just basically give everything to you. No. These are just suggestions that, just to take. And granted, keep this in mind, not everyone's calling you a bad map player or creator. They're not saying the map is bad. They're saying it can be better. That's something you got to really think about. We're not saying, oh, well, this is a terrible map or fix this because of this and that. I mean, granted, you're going to get that anyway, but just overall, we want to, or the players or even the community, they want to see the map improve. They want to see it get much better than what it already is. Because, hey, I mean, the better the map, the better the community. That's how I see it.
Side,
Now then,
it is
yes.
8:54, so if we want to have Q&A.
Yep,
we're
I understand.
closing
we're gonna, yep, we're flowing on through. We're flowing on through.
Okay.
I know we did start a little later too. So the last one, expect bugs. That's right, I'm looking at you over there. I'm just gonna give a shout out right now to that English guy. As many times as he loves to say, or even so, he loves to absolutely say it's a rec room bug. Yes, because bugs are to be expected. Whatever rec room update or even some adjustments, there's always going to be bugs or things that may tamper with just custom-made maps. You got to be prepared for it. Have preparation. Be very mindful of that. So bugs do happen, and it is up to you to make it, just kind of find alternatives or just make it work, because you don't want that to kind of jeopardize anything, especially playoffs. Oh, that would suck. Or just be very, very bad. All right, Pixel. On to the next bug. Now, this onto moderation. This adds more security. Pretty simple stuff. As I said before, keep it clean. Make sure no one's causing too much trouble. You're gonna have trolls most likely in your league a lot. You're gonna have some people posting some inappropriate things. So do keep in mind, this is out to the moderation team or those who have to take care of it. Make sure to keep it clean, keep it friendly. Just that kind of a deal. Even if it is friendly, or if people like swearing at each other or insulting each other, tell them to just, take them off the stage. Tell them to go ahead. You go to DMs. You can talk about it over there, because you don't want it here. And of course, just keep the salt on the table, because you're gonna have that after-match rage of people saying this person did that, and so forth. Now then,
Going off of that too, as a manager, like when you're not really disciplining, but just like reminding people to keep their servers clean, or discussing what you're going to do in the instance of a certain issue, you might want to keep that in a staff channel, because I've seen a lot of newer leagues or like not yet sponsored leagues where they discuss these things in the general chat, and it's not really a great place for that. You want to look professional. You want to make sure that you're discussing what might happen privately, because if you don't know what's going to happen yet and they're seeing what you're thinking about doing, they're going to spread the rumor of that around.
Yeah, you want to make sure, keep things classified. Uh-oh, I cannot move. All right, well, I guess that's my control telling me to simmer down a bit. But anyways, moving on to the next one are proper punishments. Okay, listen, you caused some trouble. Listen, you just gotta be muted for a few hours. Yes, there are people out there who complain about that, but guess what? You gotta understand the rules. I'm not telling you to give them a week of muted or, kick them out or ban them. No, none of that. It's something as simple as, just tell them if they don't want to follow the rules, give them a mute. If they take it to DMs and make the situation bigger than what it should be, just extend the punishment. Sure, it might hurt, but it's proper punishment. That goes a long way. You don't want to be too soft, and you don't want to, scold the other person, because, well, that's what is considered as bias, and I don't like that word. And we do not, that's the last thing you want your league to be considered as, especially Season 2 of RRC, for those who know it. Now, of course, with moderation, taking action. If there's a huge uproar, which I don't really see happen very often inside of just any sort of league. It has happened a few times at RRC. Taking action, of course, is just, extinguish the fire. Pan it down as soon as you can. Because the sooner if they don't want to follow the rules, just give them a timeout. Pull them over to the side and, just warn them. Got to give out warnings. Don't be afraid to give out a warning to somebody if they're not listening. It's as simple as, if you're not hey, I'm going to ask you to calm down. Get them calm down. Just, again, off the stage. I'll just let them cool down for a bit. It never hurts to, and it's not really being too rude or too mean. You're fine. It's what needs to be done for the greater good of, well, of the league, as I would say. Now then, be observative. This is my favorite one because, you have, if in RC we have players or our moderation admin teams, they're all across the globe. There could be at one time at 3 a.m. you just got one person who's just sitting there or causing some chaos or just saying some pretty disrespectful things and they think they can get away with it. Yes, that is important because you never know what's going to be in there. Sure, you can check the audit out, but you never know what might happen at any given time. It's always beneficial to have players that are, in different time zones because they'll be there to watch and see what's going on. Even just with a moderation team too. It does help a lot.
Shit.
Be responsible. You don't want to be the face or security, and you don't want to cause problems alone. Yes, a problem or two here and there, sure, that might happen. Sure, people might bring it up, but you still have to take that responsibility. If you cause a problem or you cause a misassumption that this player had been in trouble or caused this chaos, apologize to them and just be done. You don't want to make it tougher for yourself in any sort of scenario that recently happened. Hey, the best I can say is just, be responsible. Take care of the problem. The easier, the better. Work smarter, not harder. And don't let your pride get in front of it too, because, apologizing to someone after you've been proven wrong, it's okay. Because at the end of the day, there are highly doubt people are going to make fun of you just for apologizing for being wrong. Do not let your pride step up in front of it. And lastly, Discord bots. Once again, APBL, I'm sure you guys absolutely love this one because those Discord bots do come into play. If your moderation team is kind of slacking or you just don't have enough, Discord bots, they are the new trend, and the moderation bots, they are pretty helpful. They prevent players from saying certain words and actually just make it easier for the moderators. Yeah, it requires a few tweaks because some things can be said, but it may not be spouted. Some certain words, or even if you type a word in with that specific word. But yeah, if you fiddle around or just mess around with the Discord bots, you'll actually make it a lot more easier for you. Or in this case, here's a shout out to Killer Moon in Rec Room Championship because he decided to make an entire RC bot, which gives us metadata. Let's see, stats, rosters. That's pretty big. That's kind of the first time I've actually seen that too. So, big commendations to him. All right, Pixel. On to the next one. Stability. Exactly. As everybody knows, yep, shout out to that English guy. If you have been in APBL, you've heard this a lot. It's a Rec Room bug. He's not kidding. A good portion of times, yes. Rec Room is, again, Rec Room with every update, and just from time to time, there are problems that come to hand. These are problems that are beyond our control that we can't really fix. We got to find a way around it. So, this is why it's always good to have a plan B and plan ahead. Those Rec Room bugs, they come into play. So, just be aware of that. It's not all the time, but, that doesn't mean you can relax and, just have a nice cup of ginger ale or, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. So, be very aware of that. And once again, have a plan B, as I already said. Have a plan B for any kind of bugs that happen. Just as Pixie had mentioned earlier. There's a really good example, and, shout out to Paintball League. Having to do all the capture flag matches while team battle's going on, I do like that. That's actually a really good, example, in my opinion. But, just stuff like scenarios like that. They knew that Rec Room had a bug, and they're taking action for it. And they still have a way to have a league going. Big bonus to them, honestly.
For Rec Royale Teleport League, we have 3 different game rooms set up, which we usually use for game 1, 2, and 3, which isn't entirely necessary, but we have them there as well because if there's ever an issue where the game is broken, sometimes there'll be no cooldown on teleporting, or somebody falls through the gondola or through the map, or the chests aren't working, anything like that. We can grab the door and pull everybody in the lobby to a new instance. So that's a really fast way just to reset everybody and bring us all to a new place. That's very specific to Rec Royale leagues, but that's kind of what we do for our plan B.
Is the chest bug still going on where you can get more loot out of the chest? Or has that been patched up?
I'm not sure. Our league actually ended, but it was happening during that. We were just making sure to watch the players and make sure that nobody was doing it and having enough refs that we could have eyes on everybody.
I hear you. And that's good though, you know, be observative. Now, number 3, test each update. You got to make sure everything's running. I mean, granted, even if it's an update that has nothing to do with the league or any kind of like RRO, you even test it. Even something that got changed once, it can have 3 times as bugs. So, you know, stability does matter. Just go through a quick check, make sure everything's up and running, and then just be done with it. You know, just make it easier on yourself because you don't want to say, oh, did you guys know this was happening? Then next thing you know, you're like, oh no, what happened? You don't want to cause too many confusion. And of course, number 4, take responsibility. This adds on to it. If you didn't know that something happened, if you didn't know a bug was interfering with the game majorly or the match, make sure to go ahead and just you know, kind of find an alternate. You know, there might be times where one team may get jeopardized because of a bug really badly, but then the other team does not. And it actually does tamper with just the result overall. Just take responsibility. You know, compensate them a little bit. You know, I'm not saying you have to do an entire rematch, but just be aware of, you know, the consequences. Now then, Pixel, on to the next one. And we are done. So, I know that was really long. That was super duper long, longer than I potentially expected. But we have a good 10 minutes, ladies and lads, to go ahead and enter any questions. So if anybody has any questions, you are more than welcome to type them into chat.
That being said as well, right at the front of the stage we have links to RC, RTPL, and Jumbotron League, as well as at the front of the room when you entered. You can find all of our personal Discords, so if you don't get a chance to ask a question or you want to ask privately, you can DM any of us or join the servers and come talk to us later in game.
Does pineapple belong on
No.
pizza? Yes, it does. I think so. I actually believe pineapple does belong. I like it. Personally, I do like it.
Yeah, I've never had
Thoughts on
pineapple pizza,
APBL
actually.
too? If you want my honest opinion, it's just ratio. If you do want my honest opinion on APBL, best league for reality.
I'm
So
excited
let me go
for
ahead. Let me go
APBL
with.
Season 2,
So
personally.
APBL, it has had some rough. It had a good portion of rough times. I give my accommodations to them because they decided to still go on with throughout the season. There's a handful of things that can be adjusted or worked on, and a few things, like, just even things that we've been over and discussed as well too. So hopefully, with those, you know, a few things that have been suggested here or provided here, you put into suggestion and actually put them into season 2. Overall, though, looking forward to it, guys. Looking forward to it.
What do you mean by best league for formality? I'm not sure what that
Pod
means.
season 2. Aside from that, just I will definitely, you know, give some shout outs as well to just to league managers. You know, we have APBL here, we have Tyler Pro, we have that English guy. He's actually in charge of two leagues from my understanding. He's also part of he's alongside Pixie with Teleport League. Shout out to Dwangler. If you guys didn't know he was here with his alt, who's been so kind enough to, you know, take a picture or kind of record us. Dwangler with Teleport League. Actually, you know what? I do have a question about that. When is the next season of Teleport League? Classic Teleport League.
They
So
just
that's an
ended not
answer.
that long ago.
Okay, alternate with PBL. Got it. Oh, that is true. That is true. But even also, you know, those who are godlike, or should I say godlike. In this case, God in the background. I'm sorry, God, I'm giving you too much credit. It's just, you know, you pull off amazing things. You both do, actually. You and Dwangler. Let me see what Bug had mentioned. Like the most organized formal league. I
That's
can't
hard.
really... Yeah, it's tough. You would have to be in every league in order to truly make that determination.
I mean, I think some of the best ones are just the ones that have been around the longest, LTL, PBL. Those ones are pretty professional. They have really good staff, CTPL as well. And a lot of those three do really fun things like Jerry does music videos for the finals. It was like commercials for their finals, which is really unique and fun and makes it feel like you're really watching like a big special like Super Bowl type thing on TV. Even CTPL also did merch this year, which was really cool and things like that.
I did like that too.
Yeah.
The merchandise, that was a big one. GOG, Dwangler, K Rec Room League for sure. Yeah, I agree. It's not expensive.
Merch, yeah, definitely.
So
I'd
from
love
an
to
outside
have merch at
perspective,
some point.
lots of things are expensive nowadays, so I just see it as typical. Should officials be streamers for convenience, or let that be a separate thing? So should the officials be a streamer for convenience, or let it be a separate thing? I'm sorry, Justin, you're gonna have to be a bit more specific with that. Should they be streamers for convenience or separately?
I think what he means is that in R3L, do they have like refs who actually make calls? And you're saying, are they two separate people?
Should officials also be streamers? Okay. Thanks, Dwangler. I did get a little confused by that. So you're talking about refs. Are you saying should officials be streamers? I assume you're referring to refs. From my understanding, in a sense, I know that refs and officials do kind of the same thing, but the only thing is that officials are kind of like commentators or just casters. That's how I see them. I
think this is also really dependent league to league. Like it really depends on which league you're talking about. For like paintball and laser tag, or leagues where it's like one team versus one team, it's really fun to be able to watch it live as it's being streamed if you're on the team, or even if you're not, to know like which team is winning. But it's hard to do for some leagues because there's so many different games in a week.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Anyways, if all the questions are finished, I do appreciate everybody sticking, well, just being here. You guys are absolutely amazing. Wait, we got one more. Let's see, apart from...
That's not really a question for us as league managers.
Could there be? Okay,
we don't really have any say in whether there will be more clothing or merch or things like that in game. However, I do know that soon the custom clothing is going to be able to be sold by players, so I'm sure that a lot of leagues might take that as an avenue for giving prizes, maybe.
It does seem that way.
Some sort of in-game shirt for a winner or something like that.
That would help. That'd be nice, for sure. Anyways, just to overall summarize it, hopefully this did give some suggestions, even to those who, just put it to consideration or just to think about it. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. It doesn't have to be everything, but just...
We can't really hear you. If you type your question, we'll be able to answer it.
You get banned, but you're right here.
I've been banned for a year. I think my time is over.
I'm gonna have to hold that on the sideline, but I can't really unban you if you're right here. I don't understand the question.
I think he means from your league. Not
oh,
from the room.
Well, okay. Yeah, that was a little confusing, but all right. Yeah, I mean, sure. I'll check that on the sideline. Tell you what, if need be, you can always send me a DM. My Discord is just, Discord is just Sci-fi, #9031. And you just let me know from there. Anyways, hopefully this did help out. I know that there are those who accomplish or achieve of being sponsored. Even if you're not sponsored, there are even leagues out there that are unsponsored that can be fun. You don't always have to rely or expect sponsorship in your league just for it to be major. There are a few leagues out there that have actually been ongoing for a while, and they still did super good. Shotgun League was one of them. They had tournaments, like mini tournaments, and then they were still able to pull it off, even though it took them a little bit of time to get sponsored, but they still did a pretty good handful of things. It was pretty not. It was pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Yeah, National Stars Basketball League as well. They just got sponsored this past month, I think, and they were on season 5.
Oh my gosh. Okay, way to go. But yeah, just you don't always have to expect. Always expect to be sponsored because sponsorship doesn't really. It doesn't mean much, and gold's not always the answer to everything. Everything you touch turns to gold. No. Are you a pirate? No. Are you burned? No. You don't have to worry about too much gold. So you're fine. Unsponsored leagues still work. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, sadly. I'm too old to understand what it is. I'm sorry, my dance moves are not up to date, everybody. But anyways, yeah, just overall, we certainly just want you guys to just put a good portion of stuff into consideration. Even if you think of your own suggestions too, it's great. Because we just want you guys to understand, it does take a lot to run a league. And it takes a lot of responsibility, but you shouldn't have to make it feel like a chore. You should never have to make it feel like a chore at all. But anyways, that being said, everyone's more than welcome to put their pencils, pens, and notebooks away. And hopefully we're able to help you guys learn a little bit better of how to League 101. Do appreciate everybody. 110%. You guys are amazing. We get some lights on in here as well too.
Thank you guys for coming and staying the whole time and listening.
In fact, better yet, I'm gonna cherish this moment. I want to get a picture. I would say if everybody could get up here, if you can, if you want to be in the picture, That's alongside. If I can get my camera to work, there we go.
Bro, what is wrong with you? First you say
Why don't you have unprotected butt?
Yeah. Wait.
Jealous of your camera skin?
I keep forgetting to change mine, to be honest. Oh, that's so much better. And it's gone. No, it got kicked out. Actually, this is not mine. Uh-oh. Well, so much for a camera. Is it gonna... It just vanished. Does the camera disappear? It does. Alright.
I think you have to turn on the tripod.
Okay, thanks, Pixel. I knew that.
Smoker, sit still. Oh my god.
Guys, first
Alright.
day taking a picture.
Yeah, tell me about it. Even to this day, I'm not used to the stuff that they have here. Alright, you know what? That's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Bro, Smoker, move that big ass hat.
No!
Why is the hat so big, bro?
I have all three of us right here.
Why's
Actually,
my stuff so big?
Pixel and Pixie, if you guys could move
Okay.
over here. That way everyone's gonna be in the picture as well, too.
Do it!
There we go.
Bro, Smoker, shut up.
Everyone give their best smile, best pose.
Chuck E. Cheese!
Oh, heck yeah.